Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Aylin if you are new here, and for today's video I wanted to do something to kind of help wrap up my videos for the end of the year. I am doing Bookmas if everything goes according to plan, but a video that I have enjoyed doing in years past, I don't know that I've done it every single year, but I have done it a few times. The end of the year book tag, there are only 6 questions, so it's probably going to be a bit of a shorter video. I mean, I like to talk, so maybe not, but I figured we could just kind of close out the year going through some of my goals for the end of this year, beginning of next year, books that I want to get to, all of that. So that's what we're doing. Let's just get into all the questions. Question number 1 always kind of makes me laugh because the answer is always yes, a million. And that is, are there any books that you need to read by the end of the year that you're currently in the middle of? Yes, a million. I am not a person who can ever close out the month not having any current reads. There are so many books that I have just like soft DNF'd as like I'll come back to them soon, so I will never be that girl, unfortunately. I want to be her so bad, but she's just not me, unfortunately. So I have a few things that I want to wrap up by the end of the year. The first couple are poetry books that I honestly kind of soft DNF'd unintentionally. I just forgot that I was reading them. The first one is Save Me an Orange by Haley Grace. My best friend gave this one to me, and I don't remember how far into it I got. I think I got like 40 pages in or something, so I should probably restart it. I was really liking this. It's not very long. I just wasn't in the mood for poetry, I guess, so I need to wrap this up relatively quickly. It won't take me long to do. I don't know why I haven't done it yet, but I've been reading this since the summer. The other poetry book that I have been reading for even longer, I think maybe the spring, is Climate by Whitney Hansen. I am 110 pages into this one, and I was loving it. I have no idea why I put it down. I guess I just haven't been in a poetry mood, and they've been sitting on my desk for such a long time that it just, you know when like you put something where it doesn't belong, but then it sits there for so long that you're used to seeing it there? That's kind of what happened to these 2 books, is that they've been on my desk for so long that it's just like, oh, that's where they go. It's not. They belong on my bookshelf, but I haven't read them. So they haven't been on my bookshelf because I keep meaning to read them. If you don't see me read these anytime soon, yell at me. The other one is one that I'm hoping to wrap up actually this weekend, and that is Caught Up by Liz Tomford. I know I'm going to be finishing this by the end of the year. I just figured I would put it on here because I am currently reading it technically. I'm like 60% of the way through this. This is the 3rd book in the Windy City series, which is a sports romance series, and each of them so far have followed a different sport. So this one is following a Major League Baseball player and his coach's daughter, who is nannying for him for the summer because he is a single dad and he needs some help while they are traveling for all of their games and things like that. So we are following Kai, who is our male main character, and Miller, who is, like I said, the coach's daughter. She is a well-renowned pastry chef who just needs a summer off to kind of find new inspiration and muses for this magazine article that she has coming up where she needs to have 3 new recipes. So she offers to help Kai out. She also gets to spend some time with her dad, but they both know that she's leaving by the end of the summer, so that's like the major thing holding them back from pursuing a relationship. It is so good. If you don't like books and kids, I highly recommend that you read this one because Max is like a 15-month-old baby and he is the freaking cutest. I am obsessed with him. I'm not usually a huge like kids in books person. I'm not like against it. I don't usually dislike it, but it's not ever something where I'm like loving it. This, I love it. So when it's done well, apparently I love it because Max is freaking adorable. In the way that they're able to like bond, you can see them as a family. This is my favorite book that I have read so far in this series. If you watch Chandler Ainsley, she has mentioned puzzle piece romances before where the people just complement each other so well. That is what this is. The banter, everything is just so natural. It's so well written. Yes, a million times yes. Done rambling about this, but I need to finish this by the end of the year. And the other book is kind of a tall order. It's definitely gonna happen because it has to happen, but Into the Dark. This is the 3rd and final Magnolia Parks book, which kills me. This book is killing me slowly. It's 700 pages, but I take my time with these books usually, so I'm just hoping to have this wrapped up by December, the end of the year, so that I can be caught up with the series and have the happily ever after for Magnolia and BJ because they deserve it. I'm fully anticipating that this will tear my heart out. If you haven't read this series before or heard it talked about, it's basically Gossip Girl meets London high society with a very toxic relationship and so many trauma bonds. It deals a lot with grief. Definitely look up content warnings before going into it. It's not a romance. Jessa Hastings, the author, has said that multiple times. It's just a story. Love story between two people who are deeply flawed. It is not perfect. They have a lot that they need to work on, but they are very human, and I think that's something that Jessa Hastings does really well, is just capturing the human experience. It's a beautiful series. If you've thought about picking it up and you weren't sure, I say go for it. This is your sign to pick them up because it is my favorite series of all time. Question number 2, do you have an autumnal book to transition into the fall season? I have a different answer for this every single year, so clearly I don't have a go-to book, but the book that has kind of been getting me into the autumnal season, the end of the year reading fantasy mood, because that's what I like to read in winter and fall, Phantasma by Kaylee Smith, and I haven't heard enough people talk about this, so I needed to talk about it in another video. If you liked Caraval and Kingdom of the Wicked, this is the book for you. We are following our main character Ophelia, who at the very beginning of the book, her mother passes away and she has to take on the family magic essentially, because only one person can have it, but the only way that you get it is when the previous person passes away, and that is the like necromancy trait basically. So she's taking this on and it is the main source of income, and then she's responsible for her little sister. They find out that they're in a great amount of debt, and one day Ophelia and her younger sister Genevieve get into an argument, and it seems like Genevieve has been whisked away to an event that is hosted by the devils of hell called Phantasma. Very similar to Caraval, where you're not really sure what's real, what's going on. It's a traveling, almost circus game type of thing. But like I said, it is hosted by the devils from hell. There are different spirits that are of varying degrees, and you have to pass the 9 levels and then you are granted a wish. Ophelia follows her sister into this looking for her because she can't find her. Along the way meets a phantom named Blackwell and a romance ensues. So this is a romantasy. It is such a quick read, so fast paced and so interesting. It's not anything necessarily groundbreaking, life-changing I wouldn't say, but it is very fun and the vibes are there and perfect for fall. So if you're looking for something to transition you into fall, I would highly recommend this one. Even though this is a series, you get a nice resolution all wrapped up at the end of it. And the sequel is coming out in April, so like relatively soon. Question number 3 is there a new release that you are still waiting for? And yes, I saw that Amazon is doing something similar to the Valentine's Day series that they did with a bunch of authors, and they are doing something for like the holiday season. So Allie Hazelwood has one coming out and a few other authors that I'm really intrigued by. I want to read those short stories. They're all holiday short stories. I feel like that could be really fun to read in the month of December. And also My December Darling by Lauren Asher. This looks so fun, so cute. The cover is adorable. I cannot wait to read this. I don't even really know what it's about, but it's Lauren Asher and it's Christmas, so sign me up. Question number 4 is 3 more books that you want to read by the end of the year. Of course I have some. This was actually really difficult for me to choose because there are so many books that I want to read by the end of the year, but when I sit down and like really think about it, I was struggling. I'm not really sure why. The first one, I'm not sure if there is a vlog of me reading it by the time that this video is out. At the time of me filming, I haven't read it yet, and that is One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. This is the first book in the Shepherd King series. It is a tarot card inspired fantasy where there is like this mystic illness, I believe. There's like a mist or something over this town. I don't fully know all of the details, but I've seen so many people rave about this book and say that the second book is actually even better. I have to read it. Plus, I asked you guys in a TBR video what you wanted to see me read, and this was what you voted for, so I actually need to read it. The second one that I really need to read by the end of the year is Make the Season Bright by Ashley Herring Blake. This is very different from the other 2 books that I am giving as answers to this question. I read the entirety of the Bright Falls series earlier this year and loved it. When I saw that she was writing a Christmas themed sapphic romance, I immediately like added it to cart. I loved her other romances like I just mentioned, so I am so freaking excited for this one. It is a second chance romance. It's Christmas. It's sapphic. What more could a girl want? Honestly, I am so excited. This sounds so so good. And the last one that I absolutely have to read by the end of the year is Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. I read Fourth Wing earlier this year. I was very late to reading it, but I read it. I really enjoyed it. I have had so many people who have already read this tell me that I need to read it because they need someone to talk about it with. Per my coworkers, who I love so much, this made it onto the list. Plus, I'm trying to be better about continuing on with series and not just leaving things unfinished. If that was like the question being asked here, the answer would never end. For now, we're ending it with this. Question number 5 is a book you haven't read that you still think could become your favorite. And I have 2 for this one. When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker, because I have seen so many people with such similar tastes to me love this one. So I feel like if I manage to get through this by the end of the year, like I am hoping to and intend to, this is definitely a contender. I feel like it will be a favorite book of all time for me. This fantasy sounds so interesting though. It has dragons and it is set on a fixed world, which means that it doesn't like revolve around the sun. It's just in one place, stays permanently. The varying degrees of sunlight affect the places that they live and it creates different types of dragons. How cool does that sound? I don't really know much else about it. I think the sequel is coming out next year though, and I have heard so many people who have such similar tastes to me really enjoy this, and it's like a 6-star read for them. I have to read it. The other one I mentioned in my November reset, if you saw that video, and that is The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. Like I mentioned in that video, I recently saw Maddie from Madison Kate read this, and she said if you have very similar tastes to her, which I do, that you will probably love this. In that same video, she said that this is very much like a literary fiction, but like also character human analysis essentially, and I love stories like that. It's very long, 500 pages almost. It was on Book of the Month as a thriller, but she said that this was much more emotional than she was anticipating and dealt with some really heavy topics, which I love. I love that in a book so much. If it's gonna make me emotional, I'm probably going to love it. This, I feel like, could also make it as one of my favorite books that I read this year. And then, of course, Into the Dark by Magnolia Parks. It's already a favorite of the year, even though I haven't finished it yet, for the sake of answering the question. That's on there too. And question 6, the last question for this video, do you have any reading plans for next year? Yes and no. I definitely do have some like rough ideas of what I want to do. I have goals and I do my reading goals video every single year. It's one of my favorite videos to make, but I will share a couple of them with you here. Every single year I have the goal to read more diversely, so that is obviously something I am trying to do and strive for every single year, just to make sure that learning as much as I can, taking in as much as I can, becoming a more empathetic person. That is a huge part of why I read. I will die on the hill that fiction is educational. I also want to do a better job of continuing series like I mentioned earlier. I want to make more of an effort. I want to be more focused on that next year. And then content wise, I want to do more focused reading vlogs. I really like doing those videos. I think that they're a lot of fun, so I would like to do more of that next year. And then also I want to push myself to read some of the older books that are on my TBR, and I think that making very focused content and like specific reading vlogs will be helpful in that. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone basically. Those are kind of like the major things that come to mind at the moment. I'm sure I'm missing some, and I will do a more thorough deep dive of that at the beginning of January. But that is it for this video. Kind of a quick one, which I'm sure is refreshing because my videos have not been quick lately. Feel free to answer these questions in the comments below. I love chatting with you guys, and I'm curious to see everybody else's answers and get some book recommendations if you have them. Let me know if you've read any of these books, what you thought of them. As always, I love talking to you guys, even if all you say is hi. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you're doing well reading, mentally, and otherwise, and I really hope to see you all in my next video very soon. Bye guys.